Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Zach from SmallCarCamp.com, and today in this video I wanted to share a fun little discussion with you about, is it warmer to sleep naked in a sleeping bag? So believe it or not, a lot of people believe that sleeping naked in a sleeping bag is warmer than having clothing on, and I just want to quickly share that that is not true in most circumstances. In most circumstances, you're going to be better off wearing warm clothing layers if you want to stay warm in a sleeping bag if you're camping in a cold environment. So the only reason that you would want to sleep naked in your sleeping bag in a cold environment is if your clothing is damp or wet. Then you obviously wouldn't want to sleep in your wet or damp clothing. You'd want to take that outside of your sleeping bag, preferably even outside of the entire tent if you can, because what that wet or damp clothing is going to do is it's going to cause some moisture in the air, moisture to build up in the air inside your tent, and the condensation is basically going to make you cooler because it's going to feel humid. Now, what you should do instead is you should dress in several different layers. Because what you want to do is you want to find the perfect temperature inside of your sleeping bag. So if you have too many layers on, then it could cause you to actually overheat and start sweating because your body's naturally going to try to cool itself down. And if that happens, then your clothes become damp again, and it could actually cause you to become cold again. It's like a vicious little cycle. So you don't actually want to be so warm enough to where your body starts to sweat. That'd be too warm. So that's why you actually want to bring several different layers so that you can put on and take off as needed in order to create like the perfect amount of heat inside of your sleeping bag. The way that sleeping bags actually keep you warm is that they trap your body heat next to you and just try to prevent it from escaping. And different bags are going to do this better than others, and you can see that by their resistance values, their R values. So basically, whatever temperature rating it has on the sleeping bag, that's like the recommended lowest temperature that it's suggested that you take the sleeping bag in. Usually those are a little bit exaggerated. Like, for example, if you have a 40-degree sleeping bag, which is kind of like your typical summer sleeping bag kind of thing. If you have a 40-degree sleeping bag, if you're actually in 40-degree weather with that sleeping bag, you're probably going to be pretty cold unless you have some really thick clothing layers on. So even though they're a little bit exaggerated, you can kind of just go by the numbers on your sleeping bag, the ratings, to see if they're appropriate for whatever temperature you're sleeping in. So, you know, if it's snowing outside, it's probably below 32 degrees or something like that. So you'd need either all-weather, or you'd need either an all-season sleeping bag, or you would need a winter sleeping bag in that case. But additionally, you'd also be wearing warm clothing layers. You wouldn't be naked and sleeping in that sleeping bag for that rating to count. There are also some other like small tips that you can, small little things that you can do to keep yourself warm. But a properly rated sleeping bag and a proper warm clothing is going to be the majority of it. In addition to that, a good sleeping pad. Sleeping pads provide a lot of insulation. So if you have a highly rated sleeping bag, a high R value sleeping bag, that's going to help as well. A few other tips. You can do some really light exercise before you go to bed, because that'll just warm your body up a little bit, just so you keep you warm through the night. In addition to that, you could put a warm, some heated up water in a thermos or like a metal water bottle, and you can actually put that in your sleeping bag with you, and that'll help keep you warm, especially down by your feet. You could wear a hat, maybe not this kind of hat, but you could wear like a beanie that'll keep you warm. Have some good socks. So like I have a good pair of wool socks. Those will keep you really warm. I think wool is probably the best material, actually. Yeah, so as you can see, sleeping naked in your sleeping bag is not a good idea if you actually want to stay warm. I mean, if it is warm outside, then go ahead. But if you're in a cold environment, you're camping in a cold environment, sleeping naked in your sleeping bag is not warmer than sleeping with clothing layers. So go ahead and click the link in the description below, because I wrote a full article on this because it kind of fascinated me that some people think this. And I included a lot more details on why you shouldn't sleep naked in your sleeping bag if you want to stay warm. And there's also additional few tips in there for actually staying warm. So please go ahead and check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Zach from SmallCarCamp.com, and have a great day.